Hey there, this is Kristin from KristinCoaching.com, and thank you again for joining me for another video today. The topic of this video is how to get your husband and wife to change. Husband or wife, or both. Maybe we have both. I don't know. But we're going to talk about change and changing our significant others, our spouses, our girlfriends, our boyfriends, the people that we're in intimate relationships with. I keep getting so many questions on, Kristin, how do I get him to listen to me more? Kristin, how do I get her to see things from my point of view and agree with me? How do I get him or her to change their behavior? How do I get him to love me? How do I get her to love me? All those things. There's so many specific questions about changing our partners. So I wanted to do a special video for you today that addresses that behavior, okay? So I'm super excited. So before we dive into all of the details, please subscribe to my YouTube page if you haven't already. Click on that bell. That way you get a notification every time I create a new relationship video for you. Comment below if you have any questions about this video or you like this video. If you want to just send me some love and some support, comment below. I always appreciate that. And of course, if you have any questions, I'll get back to you as soon as I can, okay? Okay, so we're going to talk about change. I want to start off by saying there are some strategies you can do to help, that's such a bad word, but I'm going to just say it, to help kind of manipulate change in your partner's behavior. And when I say manipulate, I'm not meaning it in a bad way, but there are ways that we can address things that are going to help shift our partner's behaviors. And so it's a way of, manipulation, but not in a conniving way, just a very intentional way. It's a way to address things with them, to talk with them, that's going to help your partner be able to move, to be able to shift in the direction that you need them to shift. So there are ways to do that. I also want to say, but there's 4 steps to do in order to help motivate change in our significant others. But before we get into these 4 steps, I do also need to say that we do not have control over anybody else but ourselves, you guys. I need you to know that, because there isn't just a magic pill that we can do or like a magic wand that we can wave that's going to make our significant others change and be the type of person we need them to be for our relationship. They have free will. They have the ability to dig their heels in the sand and say, no, I'm not budging, okay? So we can't necessarily make our partners change if they don't want to. But we do have control over what we do about that if they are not going to change, okay? And I also need you to know that these 4 steps that I'm about to go into in 1 minute are an ongoing process. You're not just gonna do these 4 steps once and then forget about it. This is an ongoing pattern of behavior that you need to do that's gonna help shift your significant other into making changes in their behaviors and their patterns that they're doing, okay? So this is a process. This is something that I need you to do every day, because people say, oh, I tried this, I tried that. They didn't listen to me. Now what? Okay, yeah, you did try it maybe once, twice, a few times, but you need to keep trying it. And then there's a positive way to do it. There's a right way to try these. So let's talk about the ways to get our significant others to change, okay? In the healthy way possible. Okay, so number 1, I am a huge proponent, I think that's the word, of healthy communication. And I really think that we can do wonders knowing how to communicate effectively to our significant others. So the first thing that you need to do in order to help facilitate change in your significant other is acknowledge and appreciate their good qualities. So I want you to start with this step. This is so huge, because if you're going to be talking about the things that aren't working or the things that you need them to do, that tells them in their minds, okay, whatever I'm doing now isn't right. It's wrong. It isn't working. You're not happy with it, right? So we need to start with a positive way to address things with them. So you have to give compliments and you have to acknowledge the positive qualities that they're doing right. You're not going to be in a relationship with somebody if they're not having any positive qualities. This is going to help bring their defenses down. This is going to help bring their emotional walls that they built with you down, and they're going to really appreciate the positive compliment, and they're going to be able to get ready for the conversation, to feel connected with you, to feel appreciated by you. It makes you feel super, super good to get compliments and appreciation. It brings the emotional emotional defenses down, so they're ready to hear the part that you need them to change. So I want you to think about appreciations and good things that they're doing, things that they're doing right, okay? Mention it, appreciate it, thank them for that. That's really, really big. So that's the first step that you need to do if you're going to be addressing any things that have to do with what you want them to do differently. Okay, we got to start with positives. So that's step number one. Step number two, you need to start modeling the behavior that you want your significant others to do. This is always a two-way street in a relationship. We cannot request or demand or expect our significant others to do something that we're not willing to do ourselves, okay? It doesn't work like that. We need to be able to give and take and be reciprocal. So if you want a certain behavior, if you want your significant other to talk to you a certain way, if you want your significant other to do certain things that they're not already, I think that you need to do your best to start modeling that behavior on your end and doing that for your significant other. It's called modeling, and it's a really effective tool because it's demonstrating behavior that you want. You know, it's putting it into your relationship already. It's coming from your side, you know, you're doing it, but they're going to be subconsciously learning from you and seeing that it is possible to demonstrate the behavior or the action or the comment that you need them to say. So when you do confront them in a gentle way and tell them what you need, they're already going to be seeing that you're doing it on your end, okay? So this isn't a way to rub it in their face like, I've been doing this and you're not doing that. That's not what it is. It's a modeling behavior for you to put it into the relationship, to have a positive change in the relationship, at least coming from your side. And that's a super huge step to get your significant others to change as well. Okay, so I want you to start modeling the behavior. Okay, step number three. Tell your partner what you want instead of pointing out what they're doing wrong. Okay, so this step really has to do with actually addressing the issue. I say that it's really important to tell them what you need instead of pointing out what they're doing wrong. A lot of people make this mistake. A lot of people tell their significant others what they're doing wrong, what's not working, what is making them upset. I think that in healthy communication, we all need to be solution focused. We need to have positive intent. We need to find solutions to our answers. So if things aren't working right, we need to tell our significant others what they need to do in order to make it right, in order to make you happy, in order to get your needs met. Okay, so tell your significant other what you need them to do instead of focusing on what they're not doing well, because couples get stuck in that negative pattern. If you talk about what they're doing poorly and bad, that's going to create conflict. That's going to create the fight. That's going to create the part where you guys feel stuck because you're blaming, each other. You guys are stuck in this lack of behavior and this less than, mentality. But if you can get solution focused and talk about what to do, the solutions, the positive behaviors, the actions that you need your significant other to do, that's a lot more of a productive conversation, and your significant other is actually going to be more willing to do that and make those changes instead of focusing in the not doing right. So what can they do to solve it is what you're going to need to focus on. So that's actually a really unique thing, because I think if you look back and you ask yourself about problems that you have, fights that you've had, are the fights because you've been focusing on, the negative parts, the parts that they're doing wrong, the parts that you get annoyed about and you want them to stop? Or are your fights about the solutions and things that you want them to do better? I have a feeling that a lot of the arguments and fights will be about things that they're doing wrong. So it's about a shift in mindset, but also a shift in communication when you're focusing on the more positive things and the things that you want them to do. Okay. Last but not least, step number 4. I want you to encourage your partner's potential. You guys are a team. You guys are a partnership. Oftentimes people feel scared to move forward. They feel scared because they feel stuck in their ways. They feel like, I've been doing this way forever. he or she doesn't want that from me, you know, what's going on? And you feel insecure, you feel less than, knowing that your partner is not happy with you and certain behaviors that you're doing. So it's really important that you encourage their potential by saying, hey, honey, I know you can do this. I know you have it, you know, in you to do X, Y, and Z, and I'm gonna feel so good and happy and validated, you know, if you make this change, you know, for our relationship, and if you make this change for me. So sometimes we need to encourage our significant others that they can do it. Again, this is about being on this negative or positive side, right? Do we want to talk about the things that they're not doing well, the things that they haven't done, you know, forever since you've been in your relationship? Or are you going to talk about the potential and the things that you know that they can do for you and they can do for the relationship? We are not perfect. You're not perfect. I'm not perfect. Your other half isn't perfect. Everybody is not perfect. We all need to make improvements in ourselves and improvements in our relationship. And so we have to be able to talk about that and communicate it, but it's how we do that. So these 4 steps are crucial. You want to acknowledge and appreciate the good qualities in your significant other. You want to model the positive behavior that you want your significant other to do. You want to tell your partner what you want from them instead of focusing on what they're doing wrong. And 4, you want to encourage your partner's potential. Like I said in the beginning of this video, this is an ongoing process. You're not just going to do this once and then be done with it. This is an everyday thing. And every time you can do these steps every single day, over and over again, the more your significant other is going to be understanding that a shift needs to happen, that you're approaching them in a healthy way, that you're being respectful about the approach, that you're appreciating them, but you're acknowledging that there is just something else that you still need and requesting that they do that. This brings defenses down and it allows your partner to be willing to make that shift for you. Oftentimes our egos and our insecurities can really get in the way of not making any changes. But when we know we are appreciated and loved and valued, and that's able to be communicated in this difficult conversation, we're more willing to address issues and make changes that are necessary. So I want you to try to work on this approach. Things and negative things or aspects about your relationship, I really feel can be resolved so much through healthy and effective communication. And these 4 steps are ways to do that, okay? So start doing it now. It's an ongoing process. This isn't gonna just be a wham bam and we're done and all of a sudden your partner's changing. No, this is going to help push change, to guide change, to manipulate change in a positive way, okay? So if you have any questions about these steps or comments about this video, please leave them below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And again, this is Kristin from KristinCoaching.com, and thank you so much again for watching me for my video today, and I'm gonna see you guys next time. You take care.